Well, hello and welcome to everybody. I'm certainly feeling in the Christmas spirit after the wonderful scenes from last night. Well, Royal Watchers had a visual Yuletide feast. Anyway, it was just wonderful scenes coming out of Westminster Abbey, of course, for the fifth Together at Christmas Carol service hosted by the wonderful Princess of Wales. And of course, Catherine was there to greet everyone in her usual lovely and warm manner. And it was just great to see. It was just a wonderful feel-good thing. I can't wait to see the actual show, which of course is going to be on ITV on Christmas Eve, and I believe it's going to be repeated also on Christmas Day for people. So that's really lovely. So this year's theme was You and the Love You Have Shown. And we've got to point out that the whole point of this is actually to honour charity groups and honour community groups, and in particular the volunteers of those groups that tirelessly help people all throughout the year and give of themselves to make someone else's life better. And so the whole event is to honour them, to thank them. Also, people that have gone through tragedy or some form of sadness over the previous year are often invited as well. It's just a warm community way to show sympathy to them. Now, everybody that arrives at Westminster Abbey gets a letter written by Catherine, the Princess of Wales. And now this was leaked out to the press. Well, not leaked, distributed out to the press before a few days ago. And one significant quote that I noted from it was that this service was for people who have made an extraordinary difference to the lives of others. But like any big royal event, there was, a few minor dramas. And as the late Queen used to say, they just love it when things go wrong. Now, we weren't really aware that anything went wrong other than the announcement that Hannah Waddingham had to pull out at the very last minute, literally while people were turning up at the Abbey. She had to pull out from singing her song because she's had really extensive film commitments and she had rusty pipes. Her pipes were feeling the pain. They were overworked. So she elected not to sing, which was probably wise rather than to be standing up there rasping away. Also, we know that Beatrice and Eugenie were a no-show. Now, we were told, I don't know how legitimate these reports were, that they were very definitely invited by Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Now, if they voluntarily chose not to appear, well, then I think it was very brave and wise of them because, of course, it would have taken all the oxygen out of the room. The press would have focused on that and the interactions with Catherine and William rather than what it was all about. So if they elected to not show up due to that reason, well, I think it shows wisdom. It shows, a bit of class, and that's really good. I was interested to see a rather cryptic post by Eugenie on her Instagram. Now, there wasn't anything really controversial about it. It's just that she said they would have loved to be there celebrating with their family tonight. So it was sort of left open a little bit, open to interpretation. If I was her, I would have made it clear that they were invited, but they were unable to attend, or maybe not post at all until after the event. So they're bit cryptic, a bit attention-grabbing, I felt, but maybe I'm just being a little too harsh. Now, let's get on to the lovely scenes, because there really was a lot of beautiful images coming out of this event. Let's relive some of them together. I've got a few slides that I can bring up and share with you. Of course, Catherine always arrives first off on her own because she, goes and greets everybody and greets all the people. A particularly lovely, poignant part of this one was the fact that the Duchess of Kent was offered. One of her was honoured, one of her musical charities. The students from that actually were playing music as people entered the Abbey. So that was really lovely. And I've got a photograph later of her daughter attending, Lady Helen Taylor. So this is Catherine being welcomed. Now, I think the man on the right is the Dean of Westminster Abbey. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. He may just look like the Dean of Westminster Abbey, but I think that is him. Not too sure who the other gentleman is on the left. I'm sorry, I'm not really up with the high-level members of the clergy in the Church of England. So if anyone can help me out there, I did Google it, but all I got was, of course, the Dean, and I already knew him, so that's that's okay. So she arrived, and that made a beautiful sort of tableau with the deep red of their garments in contrast to Catherine's gorgeous forest green coat that we have seen before, and I've got details about she wore from all the fashion gurus and all the jewelry gurus. This, of course, was when the kids arrived, and just superb. And I've got a lovely shot of Catherine greeting Charlotte. But I saw a lovely statement. I don't know whether it was on X or in the paper. I've been busily gathering so much information, but someone said, look, they're in lockstep. I think it was on X, and they are indeed a family in lockstep. And it was good to sort of go in and have a look at a close-up zoom shot of the three children, because haven't the Wales children grown? They've all had growth spurts in the previous year. I'm just astounded how tall they all are and how grown up they all look now. Time indeed, I know it's a cliche, but it does indeed fly by. I just don't know where the time's gone. Gorgeous Charlotte, there she is. What a superb shot. And I love the look between mother and daughter. There's nothing like the love between mother and daughter and father and daughter, I know. But that's just a really special thing. And such a beautiful photograph, isn't it? It's really lovely. It does get you in the spirit for Christmas. Love, love, love. Okay. Now, I thought this was a great idea. This was the connection tree, which was at the entrance to the Abbey. Everybody that turned up for the evening was encouraged to add a loop to the connection tree, to the garland that was on the connection tree. Now, this is a shot, of course, of Charlotte and George and Louis' handwriting, not a scrawly hybrid calligraphy effort inside. They've got beautiful handwriting. In particular, very impressed by George's. I mean, I should have really flipped it around so you could see it, but I looked at it like that so I could see what it looked like. And he does rather an impressive G. I was very impressed. Gorgeous handwriting there. So that was a lovely gesture, and I'm sure it got everyone in the mood when they arrived to be able to do that. Absolutely love this shot because it lets us see the Abbey in all its glory. And those Christmas trees are not small, people. They're quite significant in size. So it gives you an idea of the scale, the sheer scale of Westminster Abbey. And look at the gorgeous look on Catherine's face, and William smiling away, and all the kids smiling. And, well, Louis and Charlotte are looking like they're, on their best behaviour, but lovely smile from George. And it's just wonderful. It's so impressive. And I love seeing those wider shots because we can feel like we're there, and we can feel like we can see a little bit more behind the scenes, which is always fun. Now, this is Lady Helen Taylor greeting members of the clergy, and, how lovely that a tribute was made to her mother. I can't wait to see how much of a tribute it was in the actual service. I don't know whether she was actually mentioned or whether it was just mentioned in the program itself that it was the Duchess of Kent's musical charity that was entertaining people as they entered the Abbey. And I think that's wonderful. And it not only brings community groups and charity groups and volunteers together, it also gives the royal family a chance to be recognised. Sort of the more peripheral members of the royal family that do stellar work. And it gives them a chance to be highlighted and featured and mentioned for all the hard work that they do throughout the year, which I think is, really needed. And there should be more of it, I think. There's a lot of more minor royals that go out and just do the hard yards and do a lot of hard work throughout the year. Now, this is Hannah and, of course, Zara and Mike. And I'm hoping, this is just me projecting, but I'm hoping that they're actually friends in real life, because I could just imagine Hannah Waddingham actually over at Zara and Mike's in their party barn, having a great time on the karaoke and downing a few shots. And I could just imagine that. I think I would love to go to one of Zara and Mike Tyndall's parties. I think it would be rather a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to attend one of their parties in their party barn, because I think they'd just be such fun. And I think it would be a riot. And I'm sure that there would be kids just running everywhere, and it would just be joyous. I think it would be really wonderful. Now, I put in that close-up shot on the right-hand side of Catherine because I'm in love with those earrings, star diamond, double star diamond drop earrings. They're just absolutely stunning. Now, I did have details about Catherine's outfit from the people that know these things. I thought she looked absolutely divine. Now, we know that we've seen the Catherine Walker coat before, but it doesn't matter because it's just superb, particularly in this Christmas setting. So it was a forest green coat with faux fur trim, diamond earrings with a double star design, which I've already managed to say without mucking up, and crystal. Now this, I didn't get a good shot of this. There's a brief shot where Catherine crosses her legs in the Abbey and you get a little glimpse of her tartan skirt, and I was very impressed to read that it was crystal embellished, pleated wool tartan midi skirt. It looked very festive, very Christmassy. It looked so glam actually in the photo that I saw from the fashion expert that I wanted Catherine to actually take her coat off, but it was probably too cold in the Abbey because it just looked gorgeous. It really was quite sparkly darkly, and I'm not used to seeing tartan kilts with sparkles on them. I used to have to wear a tartan kilt for my school, for my ladies' college, and we had gorgeous tartan kilts, which were lovely in winter, and then we of course went into our summer dresses for summer. But I'm quite partial to a tartan kilt. I wish I could still fit into mine, but I can't. I'm sure Catherine would still be able to fit into all her school clothes. Unfortunately, mine won't get past my knees now. And this was a superb moment, as I'm sure you're all aware. I've got a little video to show you of this moment, but I had to giggle because the look on Eugene Levy's face when Catherine came over to him, and that initial when he just looked up, he just looked completely starstruck. And he's such a lovely man. He's such a warm and lovely man. I just like him. He's got this real aura of kindness about him and respect, yet warmth and friendliness. He doesn't overstep the mark, yet he manages to be very natural and friendly when he's talking to a royal, and I'm sure it really puts him at ease. I love this guy. I'm such a fan, and I definitely think that his interview with William was a highlight for 2025. It was definitely a highlight for me. I thought it was just superbly done. So I'm going to put my headphones in so I can hear. Now, it's only 20 seconds, so don't get too excited about it, but I've got a little clip of Eugene Levy talking to Catherine. Now, I've got to remove that, and I've got to add this, and here we go.
Lovely. I spent a lovely day with your husband. He did look after me. Yes, he did. Well, I'm a bit of a dog whisperer myself, but the cookies helped.
Okay, now you probably couldn't hear that, but he said at the end that he's a bit of a dog whisperer, but the cookies helped. And so just little gentle, friendly, lovely things like that were just lovely. But the thing that amused me about that clip was he wouldn't let go of Catherine's hand when he stood up and he was initially talking to her. The handhold went on a little bit beyond normal in a lovely, friendly way, but I could just see he was completely besotted, and he just wanted to let her know that he was a fan. And he was lovely. He said, "Catherine, so lovely to meet you." And yes, he's got a lot of charm, lot of aplomb. Nothing much phases him. So I was pretty impressed by that. I did ask all of you to leave comments about what your favourite things were, and quite a few. Now, a few have left tips, which is absolutely lovely. No need to do that at all. These are automatically starred by the sort of software that I use to live stream. So I'll start with these first, but I'm not, I'm not giving preference, but thank you very much. It is appreciated. Barbara, how the princess lights up around her family. Those photos. Thanks, Shauna. Yes, superb. And she does light up around her family. family, doesn't she, Barbara? I had to laugh because Barbara said a funny thing. It was over on Substack. She said that she was leaving a rather boring party to tune into this live. And she said she thought that the hostess might be channeling Megan as far as her hosting goes. I did laugh, and I wondered, Barbara, did your host say, "Okay, everyone, time to craft"? And did you go off and make a wreath? Just curious. Or some crackers? Just curious. So, what else have we got from Aussie Queen of the Roos? And thank you, Aussie Queen of the Roos. She comes in early, just about every live, and encourages people to like and subscribe, which she has no reason to do. She's not getting paid or anything, but it's just lovely of her to do, and I must thank her very, very much. I do appreciate that. Yes, they are. They're superb. Faultless. Absolutely faultless. 100% agree. And Koala Blues. Hi, Shauna. I'm torn. I can't pick a fave photo. Love them all. Indeed. Oh, indeed. It is really, really hard to pick. And also, thank you so much, Go Home Kid. That is really, really lovely. I do appreciate that. That's just really lovely. Okay, now there's lots of other comments. I just wanted to thank people because sometimes on the live I skip over people that have done, really lovely things, and I just wanted to thank properly for this live. Okay, I've got a few other little things to show. Let's go back to the slides. So we've got to remove that and we've got to add this, and here we go. Now Louis, oh gosh, he looks so much like a Michael Middleton mini-me, doesn't he? Plus, he also has echoes, of course, of, I think, King George VI as well. All sorts of relatives are in his gorgeous little face. And look at that superb shot. That was actually in the Daily Mail today in Rebecca English's column. There were some gorgeous shots, so I encourage you to pop over and just look at that if you can, just purely from the photographs. But what a gorgeous shot. I mean, wouldn't that make a beautiful Christmas card? And it'll certainly be a great memory, I think, for Prince Louis, because it's just a lovely shot with him and his mother. But look at his stance, how mature he's got with the hand in the pocket, and he looks rather handsome and grown up, doesn't he? And you can really see that maturity. What a difference a year makes. Astounding. Now there's a shot of Prince William doing his reading, and I think I wanted to include it because I just think it shows the grandeur of Westminster Abbey, all that gorgeous gold and the candlelight and the beautiful tree, just superb. And of course, Kate Winslet did a reading as well. Evidently, she wrote hers, and it was all about love, which was the prevailing theme. So I can't wait to see it because I can't really comment on it because I haven't seen any of the actual performances, any of the musical performances or any of the readings. So we've just got to guess that it was absolutely wonderful. Of course, Christmas Eve, I will be watching. Now, this was fantastic because it was actually when people were leaving the Abbey that some of the best shots were taken by the press. Of course, the very beautiful Sophie, she looks superb. I wish I had a full-length shot actually, because she had the most superb suede boots on. Rather impressed with those. She looked gorgeous, a maroon sort of coat, and yes, she looks superb, and obviously got a beautiful Christmas themed dress underneath. Of course, the very handsome James Middleton and his beautiful wife exiting the Abbey as well. So it was good to see Catherine got supported by her family. I didn't see Pippa there. Let me know if you saw any photographs of Pippa. I don't think she attended, but I'm only guessing because I didn't see a photograph of her. Maybe she did, but it's lovely that they were supported by the Middleton family in such a stellar way. That was very good. Also, Zara and Mike leaving in the drizzle after the service, and that was lovely that they attended. I think they've pretty much attended every single year. I even remember Zara attending really pregnant one year. So, yes, they're very supportive of Catherine and William and the Wales family. This is Carol Middleton and, of course, Michael Middleton. Absolutely superb. I love her skirt, Absolutely lovely. Gorgeous colours. I really loved that. I thought she nailed it. She's just such a beautiful woman, isn't she? And she's so stylish, and the way she outfits herself is just superb. Not too much, not too little, just right. And it's lovely that I think she's so beautifully slim, like Catherine is. I think that anything looks good on her. It's just like it's hanging on a model, superb. No lumps and bumps. So I think that always helps to look good in a photograph. And she certainly does look good there. Just superb. Now, of course, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about the German state visit. And I wanted to pop that in for you because I know you've seen it and you've enjoyed it. And of course, the stunning tiara, and everyone's really commented on this already. But I have to say that I got a little bit excited when I saw the photograph on the left, because aside from it being the perfect Christmas card, even though the children aren't in it, I thought that, that might be the staircase at their new home, Forest Lodge, and it's not. It's Frogmore House. But I got all excited because I thought, maybe we're getting a glimpse into the new home, and that's their Christmas tree in the hall of Forest Lodge. And I thought, I'm really looking for little glimpses of this. And no, Frogmore House. So they must have hoofed it over to Frogmore House to get their photograph taken before they went on to Windsor Castle for the state banquet. And just superb. And I've got to say, I love Sophie's dress and tiara as well. I haven't got a shot because I didn't want to go too much into that, because I know you've already seen it all, but really, really stunning. And I've got to say, Catherine's dress was very, I think, Elsa Frozen, very princessy. I mean that in a really positive way, because I'm thinking of all the little girls out there that want to see a real princess. And as soon as you put on a beautiful blue, then immediately every little girl, like my little niece, who's, just above 2, they immediately go to Frozen, which immediately suggests to them princesses. And I think that really was quite a wonderful moment. And you've got to have those wonderful, glamorous, fanciful moments for people, because that's what royal watchers love. That's what they want to see. As well as all the worthy work that they do, you want a bit of glamour, you want a bit of sparkle, and you definitely want a lot of jewels. And that's what they provided. So thank you very much. I'm very impressed. Now I'm just going to scroll down and see if there's any more comments from you about Catherine. Catherine is pure class and dignity. She is indeed. Cannot argue with that. Absolutely, 100%. This is from Space Cadet. I'm glad the York sisters decided not to show, but gave a nice message. Yes, I'm glad too. I think it would have distracted and sucked oxygen out of the room. So I think that's really good. Hi, Shauna from London. Oh, you lucky thing being in London. It is my dream to have a white Christmas and to be in England one day for that white Christmas. Eugene Levy looked like he was having the best day of his life, mesmerised by Catherine, who isn't. Indeed, she seems to definitely have that effect on people. I'm sure that I would be mesmerised if I was ever lucky enough to ever meet her. Wildflowers spotted that beautiful crystal embezzled tartan midi skirt. Good on you, Wildflowers. I loved her outfit underneath the coat. Didn't get to see her without coat in full though. No, I haven't been able to see anything, but I would love to see it. I think it would just sound superb. And like I said, the fashion expert that had a photograph of it that you could buy the skirt, yes, just looks superb. I'm just scrolling down. One more from Nancy Devi. George is becoming more outgoing as he gets older. Yes, I've noticed a real surety about him this year. I've noticed that he's very aware of the poignancy of special occasions, particularly around Remembrance Sunday and, of course, the tribute concert. I think he is really aware of the importance of things and what it means. I think he's been very well educated, and I think he has a natural interest. He's really evidently fascinated about the World War II, the veterans, the role they played, the heroism, the tragedy, the loss. He's very into aeroplanes of the time, and, he has a genuine interest. And I really love the fact that he doesn't go around with sort of a rictus grin on his face. He's very genuine. And when he smiles, his face lights up, and he smiles when it's appropriate, when he's greeting someone or someone tells him something friendly and funny. He responds in kind. But I love the fact that the children aren't performative. They're allowed to be who they are. And it's very obvious to me that Prince George is a serious young man, and he's a thoughtful figure. And I'm really interested to see how he's going to grow into his role over time. And I think there is a surety about him now. And I think, look, what a contrast too with Prince Louis. They grow so fast, they mature so quickly. He has so much self-assurance. Now, I think Charlotte came out of the womb self-assured. She is, just always been the same. Just that cool, calm, collected character that knows the right way to behave and, just looks graceful and elegant. Like I said, I think she was born that way. She, as some people say, an old soul. I can really see that about Charlotte. She just is superb. So I love the fact that they're allowed to just be themselves and they're not encouraged to perform. And I think that's the difference between the royal family and celebrity, because, celebrities' children would be encouraged, smile, make sure you smile, look this way, get a good angle, all that sort of thing. But the royal children don't perform, which is rather fitting, I feel. I think that's really great. All right. Now, I don't want to bring you down, but I think this is important and I want to talk about it because I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it yet. Because I think we have a very deep contrast with the gingerbread political prince on the Stephen Colbert show. Now, of course, he was there for a skit, and he mentioned that Americans were obsessed with royalty. And Colbert, it's part of the skit, part of the written script, actually challenged him about that. And that's when Harry said the fateful line, "Really? I hear you elected a king." Now, a throwaway line if you're not in the line of succession. A throwaway line if you're not a Councillor of State. It doesn't matter if you are a working royal or a non-working royal. It doesn't matter if you are living in another country and you're a guest of that country, by the way. So I would suggest not having a go at the president. And look, it's not about whether you like Donald Trump or you don't like Donald Trump, or, you agree with the sentiments or you don't agree with the sentiments. That's not the point. Because my first immediate thought was, okay, put Harry on Fox News, for example, and have him there in a Fox News skit. I don't know whether they have skits, but I'm just trying to think of a more right-wing program. So he's on Fox News and he's doing a Christmas skit and he has a go at the then President Biden. It would go over like a lead balloon. It doesn't matter who it is. And of course, the tragedy of this is the UK just put on a splendid diplomatic show of a really extravagant state visit in honour of the US president. Now, why did they do that? They did that because the alliance matters, the relationship matters, and the lines of communication matter. And then you've got this bumbling fool, although I'll talk more about that because I think it was a choice, a definite decision. He's trying to hide behind the stupid excuse, but I don't buy that anymore. And so, all those efforts were put in. It was a resounding success. The lines of communication were healed and open. And let's face it, with the situation in Europe at the moment, communication matters. Alliances matter. lines of communication matter. And that's what we could see with the German state visit, how important it is. It is crucial. And that soft power of royalty is harnessed by the government of the day. Doesn't matter whether it's a left government or a right government. It's harnessed by the government of the day, and they are asked to provide that bridge, that diplomatic bridge to other countries. And what does Harry do? What does Harry do? Now, really impacted on me. I was absolutely appalled. I think to buy in on the protests that we saw that took part across the US, I looked it up. I wasn't aware, but it was across many major cities, and it was a huge, huge protest, which of course has caused untold division, angst and heartache all across the USA. So, you're buying into a point of division for your own cheap shot, which, like I said, if he wasn't a Prince of the Realm, it wouldn't matter. It would have just been another Colbert show. But many are sort of letting him off the hook, saying that he was too stupid to know what he was doing. Also, the excuse put out by Harry's people was gobsmacking about the fact that, well, he only did it because he was a friend of Stephen Colbert. That smacked to me of the ex-Prince Andrew going over to let his friend down gently. The Epstein situation. I only did it because I'm honourable and he was my friend. No, that excuse doesn't fly anymore. You saw what happened to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor when he tried to push that excuse. It doesn't work. People don't buy it. And here's Harry with exactly the same excuse. Another quick thing, which I know you're already aware of, but I want to make the point, is the fact that why Colbert? After the fact that Stephen Colbert made definite digs at Catherine over the Where's Catherine cruelty, he was definitely on board with that. There were several weeks of shows where he sort of lent into that narrative and escalated it. And then to cap it all off with, of course, the, untold, unproven rumours about William and Rose Hanbury, which are completely unfounded. The UK press did not report on it, not because there was a press embargo, but because they found no proof. Way before Rose Hanbury actually threatened legal action if anybody, falsely reported on this story, well before that, the UK press did not report on it. It was only the US press. And we all know where those rumours were started. We all know, we've all heard about Amsterdam and Soho House, and we all know about the fall guy, Giles Corran, who unfortunately is evidently a friend of Tom Parker Bowles and was actually photographed with Tom Parker Bowles and Queen Camilla at a literary festival later this year. And that was just such a stupid decision. A lot of people in journalism didn't really make much of it. I sure as hell noticed it, and it's not because I'm trying to pick on Queen Camilla. I just think it was a really stupid move because it had the potential to drag all this up again. But of course, we've always got Harry to drag everything up again. So my point is this: it wasn't stupidity. It was calculated. It was a choice. It was a definite choice to go on the show in the first place. Definite choice. A definite choice to cozy up to one side of the political spectrum in the USA. Definite choice. We all know that Stephen Colbert is extremely, lauded and loved by the left. So, it's a political choice, a political statement. And then you've got this prince who is grifting off his title. Let's face it, would he be invited onto Stephen Colbert if he wasn't Prince Harry? Would he be invited to speak at supposedly real estate conferences in Canada, although evidently it was more of a political event than we first were led to think? Would he be invited if he wasn't Prince Harry? Of course he wouldn't. Would Meghan get as if Christmas if she wasn't married to a member of the royal family? And so now we've got the situation where Tom Sykes did a brilliant piece. Now, this is seriously a brilliant piece. It was very long, it was very involved. And thank you, Tom, because he made a very articulate case for the removal of Harry's titles. He, held no prisoners. He spelt it out. And he actually laid out an irrefutable argument. Now, I know we've all been making arguments for that, for the removal of the titles, but when it comes from a person that has praised them in the past, when it has come from a journalist that is so careful to be balanced, he's probably got an equal amount of negative articles about the Walesers as he does about the Sussexes, and likewise positive articles. And that's true, because when I first started, following him about 6 years ago, he was no fan of the Sussexes. He has tried to balance it in more recent times, and I don't have to agree, but I do love his writing. And this was a powerful piece. And it was so powerful, I think the palace might even read it and take note. Very powerful piece. But he makes a great point, and he's coming on Monday, and we're going to go into this seriously because, you can skip along the surface and guffaw and think it's juicy and all that sort of thing. But you can also look at the very serious ramifications of this. So we're going to discuss that on Monday. And I think there are serious ramifications, particularly for King Charles. I don't think it can now wait until William ascends to the throne. Now, I wanted to share your thoughts because there was hundreds and hundreds of comments on this. Now, I've just selected 3 because they're representative of what you think, and I think they were really, really thoughtful comments. This is from Aaron. I'm really tired of him shooting his unintelligent mouth off about political issues or dislike towards any president or leader of any nation while living as a guest in my country. And that's a really good point, Erin, because Erin's not playing politics with this comment. She's saying regardless of who the political figure is, regardless of who the president is, what a bloody nerve, stay out of it, because he is in the line of succession and a Chancellor of State. He cannot do this. The royal family has to be apolitical. Also, Cole Terry, not to mention colluding with the clown who joined in the Where's Catherine Brigade. And a lot of people had that sentiment that it was a calculated choice. It was even more hurtful due to that choice. Then we have Murmur Meglos. What annoys me is that this should have been dealt with years ago. There was a lot of that criticism. That's why I included this comment, giving them a year to figure things out and then cut ties, which of course was the late Queen Elizabeth II. It shows what a lack of decisive action will get you, looking like a fool. Now we've got a prince taking cheap shots at a world leader and exploiting his title for personal financial gain. That's true. It's all true. It's embarrassing, but she's dead on here. It's been deeply embarrassing for all involved. Yes, thank you. Deeply embarrassing for all involved. And look at the stellar work that Catherine and William and the Wales children and other members of the royal family do, and look at the constant sucking of oxygen. But now this has gone beyond a joke now. This has gone beyond a joke. So I think decisive action must be taken. I'm just going to go to a few of your comments. I'm just scrolling down. Oh, this is sweet from Tara. I wonder if Charlotte gives Mama any advice on her gowns. I feel like she would say, "Oh, Mummy, you look beautiful in blue." Catherine is always so regal. Oh, she is. She is. I remember when my mum used to get dressed up to go to a special black tie event, and just watching her get ready. And I'll always remember that, that feeling of awe when she would go out the door with her beautiful dress on, and and you'd see her all sparkling, and she'd have beautiful perfume on, and I used to think she was even more of a princess than I thought she was already. Yeah, it is a real moment in a child's life, I think. Now, I just want to finish off this live with the big story of the day that evidently Meghan Markle is reaching out to her father. And I must say, I'm really sorry to hear about Thomas Markle's unfortunate and medical emergency. Just truly awful. No one would wish that on anybody, and I hope he recovers. Very serious. He's in intensive care. As you know, he's had a limb amputated. So, I mean, just dreadful, just awful. I did see Thomas Markle Jr.'s rant on YouTube. And, you know, I could see a lot of emotion. I'm not really a fan of Thomas Markle Jr., but at all. He's just a little too blunt for me. But I could see the raw emotion. And I thought, you know, if I was in that situation where I was alone over in a foreign country, caring for someone I loved, he clearly loves his father, and such an awful thing happening, you would be literally in shock. And then you add, I'm not saying that he was drunk, but I'm just saying if you had a few sherbets in a state of shock, it's not a good idea to turn on your camera because you're probably not going to get the best comment out that you want to get out there. Now, all of this PR is spreading across the world's media. It is everywhere. This is just a sample. And it's hilarious because it's just her reaching out through one of her aides, evidently. And then this rather, and even, Hello Magazine had to put the woe is me photo next to it. I mean, it's just pathetic. One tear left eye, anyone? But this statement, you realise that it's a non-story. It's going across all the world's media. It's absolutely everywhere, and there's no story because I can confirm she has reached out to her father, okay? The attempt at contact is understood to have happened on Friday, UK time, probably because she was trying to come over the top of the Christmas carols service, so she wanted to get that story released right on the time when Catherine was welcoming people to the Abbey, although it's not clear whether they actually spoke. Well, then there's no story, is there? So here we have the extraordinary thing of headlines all over the world about nothing, which is pretty par for the course for the Harkles, isn't it? Pretty much par for the course. So I don't know. I hope she does the right thing. I hope she doesn't try to, I say that with an ironic laugh, but I hope the poor man gets some help. I mean, even $1 million, particularly if it was thrown to the Philippines way, that's going to set up Thomas Markle Jr. to care properly for his father with adequate help, and that would get them a very nice place to live in the Philippines. So Harry recently donated $1 million to a charity in the UK. I'm sure they can afford to throw $1 million their way, which would be the equivalent probably of 3 or 4 million in the US if you spend it in the Philippines. And they could get around the clock, 24-hour, highly professional care for the man with that amount of money. And, it doesn't really come down to her visiting her father or forgiving her father or making contact with her father or reaching out to the father. It's time to dig into your bank account, Meghan, and funnel practical help your father and brother's way. That is the only thing that would redeem you in the eyes of everybody, I think, because they need practical help. Can you imagine if he gets through this, the care that he's going to need? I mean, it's just imperative that it happens. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will join me on Monday with Tom Sykes. Like I said, we're going to look into it really sensibly and seriously and look at the ramifications, particularly for King Charles III. Tom Sykes is of the opinion that King Charles is actually in a chokehold from this and that he is now going to be forced to act. We're also going to catch up on the latest with the ex-Prince Andrew saga. Evidently, he's going to be staying in Royal Lodge for another year and lots of other things. So I hope you join us. Plus Wednesday, my lovely friend Taz and I are going to have our Christmas party and we promise to be very badly behaved. And we're going to recap 2025 with our favourite royal moments, and I'm sure there'll be lots of laughs to be had as well. Also, Phil Craig coming on Thursday, we're going to do a beautiful episode about not only royal Christmases, but also how Christmas was celebrated even in the midst of war. And as you know, Phil Craig, with his trilogy of books on the Second World War, is certainly the one to talk to about that. So thank you so much for joining me. Go off and enjoy the rest of your evening. Go to sleep, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye, everyone. Bye. I'm going to give you a wave. I'm clicking out. Here we go.